Ubisoft invited me to take part in one of their remote play sessions to try out the latest build of Assassin's Creed Shadows. So now I can confidently say that things are looking very good, as I've seen it with my own two eyes and played it myself. The remote session was 4 hours long, and during this time I stress tested the core gameplay mechanics. And as for my impressions on the game, I will be speaking on things that I liked and disliked, and at the end I will give you my final thoughts. But before we start, I'd like to make it clear that this isn't the final build of the game, as you can see in the bottom right corner of the screen. And since the game got pushed back to March 21st, that means we still have 2 months to polish and improve the game by the time it releases. So with this remote play session, I picked to play on the hardest difficulty, which was Expert, and I chose to play in immersive mode, which is a little different to your generic immersive mode option from other games. And majority of times, this means to hide your UI. So you display information on your screen that you see, such as your weapons, your skills, and all that. It basically only means to hide that. Immersive mode in Assassin's Creed Shadows applies lore accurate language. So if there were a few characters that spoke a different language, they will speak their native language. They will not be speaking Japanese or English. And I found that pretty intense because I was not ready for what I was to experience in the prologue, which again, unfortunately, I cannot speak of it. But I can tell you that I was very pleased with what I experienced during the prologue, okay? And as soon as we were past the no recording zone, we were brought to the game and we were given the option to either play as Naoe or Yasuke. I picked Naoe to start off with, as I typically prefer fast gameplay in all scenarios, and to me, she seemed the right pick. So I expected her to be very fast, with her parkour being super fluid and organic and not too inhumanly possible. So let's take a look at Naoe's kit. Let's see what she has to offer. But before we dive into the character gameplay and her kit, let us find out who Naoe is so we know why she plays the way she does in this game. Naoe is the daughter of Fujibayashi Nagato, master ninja of the Iga clan and one of the most prominent shinobis in Japan's history. So naturally, Naoe would learn the way of the shinobi from her father, making her the greatest assassin we've ever had in any of the Assassin's Creed installments, simply because her father was the one. Oh, let me not forget to mention that Fujibayashi Nagato trained his daughter to be his equal in combat, even though he promised to protect her and keep her safe. You know why? Because he's a badass. So Naoe's combat revolves around parkour, stealth, and use of gadgets, and blinding enemies, and even just taking them all out in silence whilst keeping herself camouflaged at all times. But that does not mean she cannot engage in fights, because she can. The only thing is, you really need to be careful with getting hit, because she's so light armored and nimble, you will die a lot quicker than your counterpart, which is Yasuke. So here's an example of me trying to take on multiple enemies as Naoe. And as I mentioned to you earlier, she's a very light armored character for the sole purpose of keeping herself as nimble as possible. And if it means I gotta sacrifice my sturdiness and resilience for speed, I will do it. And this is why I chose Naoe to start with, so I could see how much faster she was compared to Yasuke. And I was not disappointed. So with that being in mind, she's a goddamn ninja, so let's get over to her weapons and skills and see what she can actually do. And as for weapons, Naoe uses a katana, a kusarigama, tanto, and hidden blade for her combat. So you can equip 2 of these at any time. The katana is your balance of speed and damage output as well as defense. When you use your timed attacks correctly, you can stagger enemies, allowing you to go for a few additional combo hits before they regain consciousness. And also the katana is able to cut enemies through shoji doors. Once again, I don't know if I said that correctly, but unfortunately I didn't get one with Naoe, but I was able to capture one with Yasuke. Probably one of my favorite things to do in the game. I kid you not when I tell you I was here just practicing on the weapon switch and seeing how far I could push the mechanics with the combat for about 2 hours. This is literally all I did, but I think you'll be quite pleased with what I was able to pull off. Here's a few things that I was able to do during combat with Naoe. And if you're wondering why is that I'm not dealing much damage right now, it's because I'm using the Tanto and Hidden Blade combat. That weapon isn't for fighting, but I do like the way it plays. I prefer it to the Katana and the Kusarigama. I think it's very stylish and very smooth. But as you can see, every weapon has its own skill tree, and I was far from unlocking all of them. And there probably will be more when the game launches, but for now, this is all I could see. I went through every single skill to give you guys a showcase of what they look like for the Katana, as well as the Kusarigama and the Tanto Hidden Blade. And I found something very interesting with the Tanto and the Hidden Blade. This weapon has iframes and it allows you to bypass enemy attacks. Yes, you heard that right. Iframes in Assassin's Creed? Sounds like a fighting game to me, I'm sold. Now, take a look at when the enemy does his red attack. Look at what Naoe does. Completely bypassed it. Did you catch it? I think it's best I slow the video down. But take a look again. So basically, if I hadn't jumped over that move with the skill of the Tanto Blade, I would have been knocked backwards, as it usually does. So that means a Tanto and a Hidden Blade is a must-equip weapon at all times, just because it allows you to do that, allowing us to be as offensive as possible whilst battling enemies. And this actually is a good thing for Naoe, as it will allow us to play as aggressive as we want or as stealthy as we can. And then there's Yasuke. Honestly, it felt like I was playing a different game. I went from an Assassin's Creed game to a samurai game, something like the Onimusha series or Ghost of Tsushima. It is really not a problem for Yasuke to take on multiple enemies. As for Naoe, she really struggles. Because Ubisoft really wanted that stealthier approach with Naoe, so you can just keep to the shadows and take out enemies in silence, whilst always staying hidden. Which is a cool thing to have in an Assassin's Creed game, right? Hence the assassins part. But if I want to do combat, you can do it, okay? Does not mean you cannot do combat with both of them, because you can. And I already proved that you can. Now, the real question is, can Yasuke parkour? And the simple answer to that is no. I wouldn't call this parkour. I would call it climbing. He can climb and reach certain heights, but he cannot by any means do any parkour, because that is just insane to me. Look at this. What is this sluggishness? Because of his armor, of course, he's not going to be able to do any of the stuff that Naoe can do. And it makes total sense. I'm okay with that. That is what separates the two characters for me. And I love it, because if I want to do parkour, I'll just pick Naoe. And if I want the more aggressive approach, then I'll just switch over to Yasuke and get the job done. That is what makes this game so special. And I've actually captured a lot more footage with Yasuke as well. I've captured some insane combat gameplay with Yasuke, which I cannot wait to show you guys. But since this video is already reaching the 10-minute mark, I will let this one roll out and then let the credits roll. Do make sure you like and subscribe to stay tuned to more Assassin's Creed videos here on the channel. I got plenty to feed y'all before the game releases in March. And on the next Assassin's Creed video, I will be doing something similar to the one we did with Naoe, where I will be introducing you to Yasuke and then going over his skills and gameplay mechanics that I found really intricate, okay? Alright man, thank you so much for watching. My name is GBG. I'll see you in my next one. Peace.